Thanks for joining us on Plus TV Africa. I am Felicity Ezewike. Ekiti State Governor-elect Dr. Kayode Fayemi on Sunday literally locked down parts of Ado-Ekiti in a victory dance protection that lasted for hours. The former minister arrived in the state capital at about 3 p.m. from his country home, accompanied by several vehicles volunteered by political associates and friends. The procession created a traffic lockdown for a couple of hours in the capital city. Addressing the crowd, Fayemi expressed gratitude to the people for voting massively for him on Saturday. He promised to fulfill his electioneering campaigns, saying every aspect of human life would be touched in his second coming into office. National leader of the All Progressive Congress APC, Senator Bola Tinubu, on Sunday said the election of Dr. Kayode Fayemi in Saturday's gubernatorial poll was a victory for the people. Tinubu made the declaration in a congratulatory message to Fayemi. In a statement signed by his media officer Tunde Rahman entitled Ekiti Election, a Victory for the People, Tinubu urged Fayemi to avoid recriminations and run an all-inclusive government. He commended the People's Democratic Party candidate, Professor Olushola Kolakbo Elaka, for not resorting to violence to get his way. National Chairman, People's Democratic Party, Mr. Uche Secondus, has urged Nigerians who believe in democracy not to be deterred by the outcome of Saturday's governorship election in Ekiti. Secondus, in a statement by his special advisor on media, Ike Aboyi, on Sunday in Abuja, the chairman appreciated Nigerians, particularly those who stood by the party during the struggle for Ekiti, and assured them that justice would prevail. He said that what was needed was patience, adding that justice has the stamina to go all the way to the destination, while injustice cannot. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, said that the just concluded Saturday governorship election was generally successful. INEC Director of Voter Education and Publicity, Oluwole Osaze Uzi, said this in a telephone interview with the news agency of Nigeria in Abuja. He said while the deployment of logistics went as planned, over 92% of the polling units commenced on schedule. He also commended the contributions of all stakeholders to the success of the elections. Osaze Uzi said that INEC would improve on its success in future elections. Presidential aspirant of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has promised to stop the marginalization of Igbos if he wins the presidential election in 2019. The former vice president also said he will look into agitations by some parts of the country, including the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, if he emerges president. Atiku said this in Umuahia, Abia State, when he visited the state to solicit the support of his party members ahead of their primary election to pick up the ticket. At least 23 Nigerian soldiers are yet to be accounted for after Boko Haram insurgents ambushed a military convoy at Boboshe village in Bama local government area of Borno State. 5 officers, 18 soldiers and 8 trucks were missing after the attacks, which occurred early on Saturday. The news agency of Nigeria learned that the military, acting on intelligence, mobilized troops in a convoy of 11 trucks to clear the insurgents from the deserted village. The attacking insurgents were believed to have been those who escaped the ongoing offensive by the military to flush out the Boko Haram terrorists in the fringes of Sambisa Forest and Lake Chad region. Meanwhile, the Nigerian army on Monday debunked the news that some Nigerian soldiers and military trucks were missing after an alleged attack by Boko Haram in Bama, Borno State. 7 out of the 12 Nigerian students detained on allegations of cybercrime have been released in Benin Republic, according to a statement from government official. The senior special assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, Abike Dabiri Erewa, disclosed this in a statement Sunday. Dabiri Erewa said that the Nigerian ambassador to Benin Republic, Ambassador Kayode Oguntuase, made the release known in a brief sent to her. She said a petition written by Joke Kujeya from Katsina State UNICEF had alleged that over 50 Nigerian students were arrested in Benin Republic. She explained that only 12 were arrested by the police without the knowledge of the embassy in Benin Republic. She said the consular officer in the country, after a series of negotiations and entreaties, was able to secure the release of 7 students from the police. The Nigerian community in South Africa has expressed their shock and sadness over the killing of another Nigerian, Martin Ebuzoeme, by unknown assailant in that country. The president of Nigerian Union in South Africa, Mr. Adetola Olubola, confirmed to the news agency on Sunday that the victim was killed in Yeoville, Johannesburg, around 7:30 on July 12. The killing came barely 24 hours after the visit of South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa to Nigeria. Ramaphosa had, during his visit on July 11, said that the killings of Nigerians and other foreign nationals in the country was an act of criminality, not specifically targeted at Nigerians. Health Minister Andre Mama Fauda has announced through a statement that 6 people have died in Cameroon from a cholera outbreak that has infected 43 people in 4 districts in the northern region since May. According to him, as soon as they heard of the outbreak, the Ministry of Health swung into action to contain it and avoid further spread. In 2010, an outbreak of the disease killed more than 750 people across Cameroon. Eritrea reopened its embassy in Ethiopia on Monday following the 3-day visit of Eritrean leader Isaias Afwerki to Ethiopia, further evidence of the reconciliation of both countries. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and Eritrea's President Isaias Afwerki reopened the embassy in the capital, Addis Ababa, with the 2 leaders jointly raising the Eritrean flag inside a newly refurbished embassy as a military band played Eritrea's anthem. The reopening of the embassy was described by Eritrea's information minister as yet another milestone in the robust and special ties of peace and friendship both countries are cultivating with earnestness in these momentous times. When we return, we will bring you updates on President Donald Trump's meeting with President Vladimir Putin and more. Don't go away. Hours ahead of the first ever summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, President Trump blamed U.S. foolishness for bad relations between Washington and Moscow. President Trump wrote in a tweet, and I quote, "Our relationship with Russia has never been worse thanks to many years of U.S. foolishness and stupidity, and now the rigged witch hunt." End of quote. He focused his anger on his country and the investigation into possible links between his 2016 campaign and Russia, but the president denied any collusion took place. Critics and advisors of President Trump have urged him to utilize the summit to press President Putin hard about election meddling and other malign activities. The 2 leaders will first meet one-on-one with only their interpreters, followed by a walking lunch, accompanied by advisors and a joint news conference. Mr. Trump, ahead of the meeting, said he had low expectations, but maybe some good might come out of it. The summit comes after 12 Russians were charged with hacking in the 2016 U.S. elections. Mr. Trump says he will raise the issue, but there is no formal agenda. Police shot and killed a man on Sunday after a series of shootouts on the streets of Kansas City, in which 3 officers were wounded and hospitalized, but they are now in stable condition. Officials said undercover and tactical officers were following a person of interest in the murder of a university student when suddenly and unexpectedly he fired on them with a rifle, according to police in Kansas City, Missouri. 2 of the officers were struck at that time, police said. The suspect fled in a vehicle, which was found a short time later. During the search that followed, the suspect fired on officers again, police said on Twitter. A third officer was hit by gunfire and also in stable condition. A few minutes later, the suspect fled from a home where he had been hiding and again exchanged gunfire with police, whereupon he was shot, taken into custody and declared dead by the Kansas City Fire Department. Business report after this. The Central Bank of Nigeria has issued warning against spraying, selling and mutilation of Naira notes, a criminal offense which the bank said attracts 5 years imprisonment. Expressing worry over the act, which it said is becoming common practice among Nigerians, the Apex Bank said anyone caught would henceforth be made to face the full wrath of the law. It assured marketers, merchants, shopping malls and supermarkets of the bank's continuous injection of huge volumes of banknotes into circulation. The development, according to the Acting Director, Currency Operations Department, CBN, Mrs. Priscilla Eleje, was to preserve the pride of the country and ease difficulties being encountered by the traders and customers associated by the inadequate circulation of the lower denomination banknotes like 200, 100, 50, 20, 10 and 5 naira. Moving on to the oil and gas industry, the management of China National Offshore Oil Corporation has expressed readiness to invest additional $3 billion in its existing stakes in offshore oil and gas operations in the Nigerian jurisdiction, as confirmed on the NNPC website on Sunday. Yon Gun-gil, Chief Executive Officer of the Jean-based corporation, led a team of his colleagues, top executives, to Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation headquarters in Abuja. He described the investment in Nigeria as the most strategic and important overseas business undertaking. The director said Nigeria remained the largest investment destination for his corporation. The group managing director of NNPC, Dr. Maikanti Baru, was represented by Dr. Victor Babatunde Adeniro, Chief Operating Officer. Ventures Autonomous Business Unit of NNPC thanked CNOOC for its interest in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. He said the corporation was open to new investment and would foster meaningful and mutually beneficial relations with credible entities like them. Boeing Company has disclosed that it has won the order for 14 fight aircraft valued at $4.7 billion. This was disclosed Monday during the Farnborough Air Show, confirming Boeing Co's victory over Airbus SE, which was its rival for the business. Also, logistics group DHL ordered for the 777 freighters and also got purchase right for 7 freighters, as said by the U.S. plane maker. Generally, air freight demand is expected to soar by 4% this year, according to projections by the International Air Transportation Association. Still on the Farnborough Air Show, last week the Minister of State Aviation in Nigeria, Senator Hadi Sirika, announced that Nigeria will unveil the name and logo of its national carrier this Thursday at the ongoing air show, adding that by December 19th, the first 5 aircraft for the carrier would be delivered. Away from that, the South African rand strengthened against the greenback on Monday at 6:50 a.m. The rand traded at 13.2125 rand to a dollar, which showed a 0.32% rise compared to results on Friday. The drop in dollar against major currencies comes after talks between China and the European Union. Expectations for the South African Reserve Bank rate still remain 6.5%, as economists do not expect change in interest rates. Still ahead on Plus TV News is a roundup on entertainment and sports. We're back in a moment. Stay with us.
In entertainment, controversial US-based Nigerian rapper Speed Darlington has declared his intention to run for president in Nigeria. He says he will be running for the position in the year 2025, as he can't yet run for 2019 since, according to him, he's currently without wife and kids. He made the declaration via his social media page, where he also said, "For people to trust you and believe that you're responsible enough to rule, one needs to show that they know how to take care of what matters." Popular Nigerian singer Peter Okoye of music duo P-Square has been nominated for both Best Male Artist and Best International Male Artist at the upcoming International Achievement Recognition Awards. These two nominations are the first since the P-Square split. The Ebano singer took to social media to share the news, saying he was truly honored whilst congratulating other nominees as well. The award ceremony is scheduled to hold on the 22nd of September at the Hilton Hotel in London. American singer and actress Scarlett Johansson has been applauded by the transgender community for exiting her new film Rob and Tug. The move comes amidst the recent backlash received by Johansson for accepting the transgender role. The actress had initially defended her decision to play the transgender man via her publicist. However, the Avengers star backed out of the role on the 13th of July, saying, "In light of recent ethical questions raised surrounding my casting as Dante texts Jill, I have decided to respectfully withdraw my participation in the project, and I've learned a lot from the community since making my first statement about my casting and realized it was insensitive." Actress Rain Valdez says the onus is now on the filmmakers to think again, and hopefully they'll find a trans star out there. And that's it on entertainment, the very best in sports, right after this.
Hello and welcome to Sport Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko with the biggest stories in the world of sports. I've got John Ojetunde here on the show this afternoon. We'll be looking at a lot of analysis on what happened at the World Cup.
Definitely. It's my pleasure to be here.
Of course, let's look at what happened in the Rugby League, talking about the Nigerian Rugby League and results of the South and Southeast Rugby League played yesterday at the Dan Anyam Stadium in Owerri, the Imo State capital. Rocket Bull of Edo State defeated East of the Niger Rugby team of Abia State by 22 points to 0 and secured 5 maximum points. Meanwhile, Delta Force Rugby team walked over Warri Wolf Rugby Club. With these results, Rocket Bulls of Edo still top the league with 9 points, closely followed by Delta Force Rugby team with 8 points. In East of the Niger Rugby team of Abia has 1 point, while Warri Wolves Rugby Club has 1 point. And in Lagos, the Week 4 results from the National Stadium, Surulere, Lagos, Eko 2 Rugby Club of Ajegunle defeated Lagos Rugby Football Club by 30-0. And Racing RFC, that's the rugby team of Racing, defeated Gosa by 14-8. And the league champions Kari FC defeated Lagos Police Rugby Football Club by 21-0. And speaking with the captain and coach of Racing Rugby Football Club on how the game can be improved in the country, he said more publicity should be put in place.
Nigeria need to spread the gospel of rugby all over the nations so that we can have more teams playing rugby. Let's make Nigeria a rugby nation. Then we can have more competition from different leagues all over Nigeria so that we can meet up to the standard level.
Welcome back. Yes, of course, John Adebambo said that the rugby league in Nigeria needs more publicity. But looking at how far we've gone with rugby, do you think this is a sport that we really need to have in the country?
Why not? If cricket is growing in Nigeria, why can't we have rugby? We just need to put some infrastructures in place, put certain things in place in order to ensure that we have a rugby, a constructed and a structured rugby league.
Now, I spoke with, I still asked Adebambo all the questions concerning how Nigeria can compete with the world out there, and he said that they are not ready at all.
Yes, I think I quite agree. We're not ready yet. Like I said earlier, we need to put infrastructures in place. We need to put certain policies, that can ensure that players are well catered for. And then we have a structure whereby you have both coordination between managers and players. All of this, there's a lot. I think we're not ready for now, as far as I'm concerned.
Because looking at the pitch at the National Stadium, they had to use the football pitch. The pitch was not looking, it wasn't in a good shape at all. And looking at how the rugby players were going about it as well, it wasn't such a good one. But I hope that Nigeria gets it right in the sport and rugby, to be precise. But let's talk about other things. Yes, the World Cup has come to an end, and France are eventual winners. And the first time they won it in 1998, it took them 20 years before they won that one, and 20 years after. We all felt like Croatia was going to win it because of the president. I know most of the men were looking forward to seeing the president dance, the pretty lady. But hey, France are eventual champions of the world. And these men, presidents of nations, actually came out and stood under the rain to award these players the World Cup. I mean, great feat for France.
Certainly great feat for France because, you know, before the start of this competition, I'm sure a lot of persons never tipped France, you know, to go all the way and win this one. But during the finals, I told someone, I said, this is a clash of redemption. In 2016, they lost against Portugal by a narrow goal. That was scored by Gomez. But I said to myself, France will do everything possible to ensure that they don't make the same mistake in 2016 to make sure that the job is done. And I say congratulations to the Blues.
Okay, looking at the awards, of course, for Croatia, Modric was the man of the match, and of course the MVP of the tournament, and Thibaut Courtois, the goalkeeper for Belgium, actually came out as the Golden Glove of the tournament. And Harry Kane finished with 6 goals, making him the highest goal scorer in that tournament. And the most important one, of course, Kylian Mbappe was the young player of the tournament. I say this guy has really done well for himself.
Yeah, fantastic player. You know, he's the youngest goal scorer aside Pele in 1958 to have scored in the World Cup final.
Sure.
And he has done exactly that for himself. And you can see the steady and the rapid growth of this young man. I'm telling you, in the next few years to come, this guy will win the Ballon d'Or.
Wow, winning the Ballon d'Or. We're looking forward to the new season, talking about the season spread across Europe. English Premier League, the French Ligue 1, the German Bundesliga, the Italian Serie A, and of course the Spanish La Liga. Everyone is looking forward to that. In August, these games will be kicking off, and Ronaldo has been unveiled at Juve right there. Well, that's much you can take on Sport Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoku. Thank you, John, for making it to the studio.
Yeah, my pleasure as always.
All right, we'll come your way again. Keep it locked down to Plus TV. Back to you, Felicity.
Interesting conversation on rugby there, Udoka. Thank you very much for that sports update. And that's how we round things up for the news at this hour. We'll be back with more stories making the headlines shortly. Just stay with us. My name is Felicity Ezewike.